Hey, Neek, do you know what Moses Malone once said to Charles Barkley when he was complaining about his playing time?
Nah, what he say?
He said, "Yeah, it's because you're fat and lazy." And then Barkley said, "What'd you say?" He doubled down on it. He said, "You're fat and lazy." What's up, y'all? We are the HoopStorians. We are back and worse than ever. I'm Tony Styles. That's my man, Unique over there.
What up, man?
Um, it's April 11th, 2024. So let's get into this day in NBA history. This day in NBA history, April 11th, 1967, the Philadelphia 76ers defeated the Boston Celtics 140-116 in Game 5 of the Eastern Division Finals to end the Celtics' 8-year reign as NBA champion. The Sixers went on to take the NBA title, and in 1980, they were voted the greatest team in league history. One, why do you think that? One, how impressed are you with that, and where do you think they should rank in the annals? Two, to become the greatest team of all time, and now literally 44 years later, we never hear any mention. We still hear little mentions of, the 96 Bulls, the 17 Warriors, the 01 Lakers, the 86 Celtics, the 72 Lakers, but the 67 Sixers seem to be forgotten, even though they went 68-13 and ended the literally by the numbers, the greatest championship run ever.
So why don't we hear about it
Yeah,
or
why?
hear about it more often?
Yeah,
So
why
to
would?
answer that question, to answer that part of the question, you know how kind of like right now we're hearing we're done with the 90s, we're done with the 90s. When you already have that kind of mentality to go back that far, they're definitely not going to want to do that. You feel me? So I think as years progress, a lot of us are already under the impression that the errors were weaker, when we go back in decades. Newer the generation, the deeper the competition is the mentality. This may not necessarily be the truth, but this is what people's mind are programmed to think. So often, unless you have a true love for like the actual history of the game, unless you have a true love for like organizations and stuff like that, you may only know the particular players that you're interested in. You may only know that history. So it's real easy for these things to be forgotten based on the mindset. Plenty of people can look these things up, true, but who wants to? You feel me? If you're not being shown these things, you're probably not even want to go back and research the NC. So things like that. It's not like it's always televised or spoke about in games. You feel me? So they're not always telling the history. They do what they can, but it's not going to tell you everything. So it's really
How?
the.
Well, I was going to say too. How impressed are you with the ending the 8 straight titles as part of that team?
I mean, anytime you can stop the champ, anytime you can dethrone the champs, it's already going to be good, especially when they're multi. You know, it's good when they win one and you come back, their second year and you stop them from repeating. But when they've done it 8 years and you stop them, they've been dominating. They've been dominating for the better part and almost the whole decade. So if you're seeing them dominate for like 10 years straight almost, we are
Mhm.
year 8 to be able to stop them. A lot of teams are already going to think they're undefeatable. So to go
What?
in there like, yeah, we're the underdogs no matter what. You can have the best record in the league that year. They can barely make it, but they're still the champs. So you're still the underdog. So having that chip, having that mindset going in, being able to overcome that, that's very impressive. And then, like I said, for this to be a repeat team, so you know you're going up against legends. You know this is history. That's a lot of pressure.
Well, you know what they say: pressure busts pipes, and that's this day in NBA history. All right, y'all. Real quick, we're gonna wrap up the Bobby Dandridge interview today. I wanted to go over what the plans are for the next week. Just give you guys a heads up. So first off, we are not going to be on tomorrow. We have a playoff preview with former NBA coach Dave Severns. If you're fans of the podcast, you've seen he's been on before. So Friday we usually talk about current things in the league, but I thought it would be kind of redundant. We're talking about the current things in the league, and then literally, over the weekend we're gonna kind of rehash probably the same thing. So we're gonna go ahead and take Friday off. So we will be back on Monday with NBA coach Dave Severn. I think we got a hell of a lineup set up for next week. Want to give you all a heads up. Obviously, things change, people get busy, so tentatively, and everybody's confirmed. Some are already complete, but so Monday we have former NBA coach Dave Severns. We're going to break down that with the playoff preview. Tuesday, if the Heat aren't playing, and we won't know that till after those weekend's games, and this is kind of the tentative. Tuesday we have top one of the 75 greats of all time, former MVP, champion, Hall of Famer Bob McAdoo. That's Tuesday. Wednesday, I just recorded today. We do have NBA champion, coach of the year, Dick Motta. I did an interview with him today. We're going to play that Wednesday. Thursday, we have former NBA player Jermaine Jones, was a starter on that 01 Sixers team. He played with Nash, Kobe, Iverson, obviously. We're going to get him to tell us about, life as a NBA role player and, that 01 finals run, playing with those guys. Maybe he'll share some stories with us. And then Friday, we have an NBA author. He actually just wrote a book. It comes out in June, I believe, about the NBA's first season. So I think we got a pretty stacked lineup for us. So, like I said, if you can like, share, subscribe, please tell all your friends. My goal is, especially since this is a, history of the NBA pod, I'm trying to get everybody. I'm currently in talks with the NBA right now to get Joey Crawford. Joey Crawford has said that he would do the podcast. I've spoke to him directly. I just got to get approval for the NBA, and there's certain rules and guidelines and things like that we got to follow, obviously. Which I've talked to head official in the league office, Monty McCutcheon, and he's a really awesome guy too, real nice guy as well. So we're trying to work that out. I've been reaching out to guys like Gary Vitti, so I'm trying to get every aspect of NBA life. We got MVPs, Hall of Famers, title winning coaches, coaches of the year, all the way down to assistant coaches, role players, referees, trainers. So I'm really trying to do that. Like I said, I'm trying to get every aspect of the game and all the contributions. That's where I kind of want this to differ, because I think all of it makes up the history of the game. The way a trainer sees it is completely different, and the things they experience is different than the players. And the role players, obviously their experiences are different than the superstars, and an assistant coach over that, and a referees, and so all that.
All the
So that's
perspectives,
where we're
right?
trying to get different. Yeah, so we're definitely trying to get that. Obviously, I mean, I'm going to try and get executives as well. So that's where we're at now. So I think, like I said, I think this is the best podcast that not a lot of people know about. Of course, we're trying to grow that. So yeah, if you could tell anybody we're trying to get every single different aspect of the game on it. Neek, you got anything you want to talk about next week's lineups or anything?
I mean, it's just gonna be an exciting week. It's a lot going on next week. Like I was telling you, it's a lot to look forward to. Every day is gonna be something different. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't look excited, but this is me excited.
So anyway, so let's finish up with this Bobby Dandridge interview. Like I said, the Hall of Famer Bobby Dandridge, who was gracious enough to talk to us for such a long time and uh, give us so much insight and stories. Let's go ahead and throw that up on stage.
That I was competitive, I was serious, and when I go on the basketball court, what do I have to joke about? I'll joke with you after the game is over and I've won. But back during our era, you could get fined for having conversations with members of the other team.
The team would find you? Your own team would find you?
The coach would find you.
Oh,
Coaches
wow.
had certain rules. I don't care if the two of you guys went to if y'all were roommates in college.
I don't care if you're Tom Van Arsdale and Dick Van Arsdale.
I'll talk to you. Hey, look, guys tell each other, look, I'll talk to you after the game.
No, that's crazy.
but it was fun, and I wouldn't trade the era that I played in for anything, because when you can say you played against and you talked to Bill Russell, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, I mean, that's just a hell of a legacy to to be a part of that history. I look at the younger guys now. Hey, I take my hat off to them. I wish them the best. I know they live in a childhood dream, just like I did, and I know that they're making the money that they're making because that's the situation that's presented to them nowadays. You know, and to lay the foundation for what's happening today, I'm just real proud of that, to have been a part of that 1970s legacy and to play with the
Huge part.
Kareem.
Huge part.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a huge part. Hey, I have a question for you because we're big on championship rings here. I want to know, it's a two-part question. One, which championship ring means more to you? And secondly, which design do you like better? What do you think's the better looking ring? Because over here we rank rings. We are big into championship rings.
Well, during the 70s, every ring looked alike. The only difference was your name and the year and the team that was on it. But there was one design for everybody's ring during the 70s. So there is no favorite ring. I would say the championship that I enjoyed the most was winning with the Bullets, because I had my hands all in that. And I can say that, and Coach Marta told me when I first went to the Bullets, this team will go as far as you take us, Dandridge. And
Bob Ferry sang your praises. Bob Ferry just kept saying it.
That's the ultimate compliment, because it's sometimes in everybody's career, you want to have a team where it's yours, you know. And when I went to Washington, Wes Unseld sort of said welcome. Elvin Hayes took a step back, because what I had that they didn't have was I had championship experience. And they've been searching for 9 or 10 years how to get to a championship. And I was blessed to have played with Kareem, and especially the Big O, because Oscar showed me, I learned from Oscar how to win, when to turn it on, when to pull it back. And to be a leader doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lead the team statistically. And
little things.
And I knew in Washington they was going, the last and the most important shot, everybody on the team be looking at me. And that's an honor that your team knows that heading into the clutch moments that they can count on you. And I missed a couple of shots, but I made a couple of big ones too.
Well, I just want to say, sir, you had your hands all in the 71 finals as well. I mean, you were 20 and 10 on 52% shooting.
Boy,
so you don't remember that?
I was, did it?
We got to hey, if I could, I would love now to make a Bobby Dandridge shirt that said I didn't know how good I was. And we should put the 71 final stats on there. 20, 10, 50. I didn't know how good I was.
I knew how good I was, but other folks tried not to give me credit.
Not over here. Not over here. Hey, I do want to say this, and I do want to bring this up. You are the only player I have ever brought up that whenever I bring up your name, anybody that knows you goes, I love Bobby Dandridge. So everybody that knows you knows how good you are. One, what do you think about was your game that made people say that? And two, how does that make you feel to know that even though maybe the Hall of Fame and all of them didn't give you the appreciation, the fans that know you do give you that appreciation?
Well, as a player, I had confidence in myself as a player, and I know that I was competitive. I know I came to play every night, and I think as a player, I didn't let folks get to know me. If you were on my team, you knew me, but I think once I left the league, and that's when I allowed people to know me because that competitive thing came off. Look, I ain't doing this no more. I'm gonna let y'all show what a cool person I am.
You
And
are.
and when I left the league, I probably did more for the league after I left there because um, I put together the first uh, top 100 basketball camp. That
What
camp,
what year?
that was probably 1977
I didn't know that.
when I was working with the Players Union. I put together the first top 100 basketball camp, and we had guys like Shea Cotton, Kobe Bryant. I mean, unbelievable, and was at Princeton University. And then in 1987, 88, uh, I was a part of a group that put together the rookie transition program, which is a transition program that is used by all three major sports. And the program was developed to be able to educate rookies about what they're about to face in the league. And this program been going on ever since like 1987. So
It's awesome.
there are some and I feel great about those contributions because every rookie that's come in the league ever since like 1890, I mean 1990, 1991, has had to go through this training as a rookie even before he goes to rookie camp. And the hockey league adopted it, the baseball league adopted it, but then right now they're probably gonna try to give credit to somebody else, but I got documentation.
Well, wait. I have two questions on that. One, do the players give you the respect for doing that? And two, you got any young Kobe Bryant stories you can tell us?
Well, the one Kobe Bryant story I had was I went to Kobe's house outside of Pennsylvania.
How old was he?
He was probably about he was probably 17 or 18 his senior
Okay.
year in high school to be able to talk to him about how to select an agent. Well, a month later, he's entering the NBA draft, and come to find out, he done had an agent about 3 months before I even went there. And the way I was able to get to see him was I knew his father,
Joe
Jelly
Jellybean.
Bean, and his father was a great player. And most folks don't know that. He was about 6'8", 6'9", put the ball on the floor, good defensive player. So Kobe got his skills legitimately. It wasn't no accident. And so
Hardest working man in basketball.
and then Kobe came to that one of our first camps in the summertime, and so that Nike or that 100 top 100 camp has been going on ever since like 1997, 1998. O'Neal, that was with the
Jermaine O'Neal,
Jermaine O'Neal. I mean, Bill Walton's son, and
Luke Walton,
Luke Walton came in, and I would say almost about half,
McGrady.
half the players. Lamar Odom was in there, Tim Thomas, and all these guys. So I had an opportunity to meet with them and see them when they were high school ballers. So I've been
Any of these
I've been
players
dealing
that
with this for years.
have you ever at any point when you're coming across players like the Jermaine O'Neals, the Kobe's, and things like
Can't
that?
really hear you, Neat.
Oh, you can't. I'm sorry.
No,
Is it
not really. No,
You can't hear me now?
no.
Mm-mm.
Maybe try. I don't know. Backing out, coming back in. You want to try that? I don't know. Or mess with it. I got a question for you though. Who D'd you up the best?
Probably Jim McMillan. Jim McMillan did a good job. Um, that was one guy that I was probably Jim McMillan and Havlicek and Rick Barry was a good defense player. So the same guys that I sort of have already mentioned, these are guys that were my nemesis.
Right.
And it's amazing that all my homeboys knew too. That it's amazing how the guys you grew up with, they can quickly identify, even at the NBA level. Oh yeah, you can't do nothing with him, can you?
Right. What was your question, Neat?
Can you guys hear me right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, I'm listening to you, and you are one of the most humble people, like not Hall of Fame, one of the most humble people ever that I've ever spoken to. And I feel as though naturally I was assumed this is something that was already ingrained in you, but I do question, is this something that came from upbringing? Is this something where you had to experience things that humbled you? Or is this just how you've always been? I mean, because you can be humble and competitive at the same time. You know, you can be assured of yourself, but then also have a level of humility. So I'm just curious: is this a faith thing?
Probably the upbringing
Upbringing? Okay.
probably has a lot to do with it, and having to go to church every Sunday and realizing that when I was in junior high school, 7th and 8th and ninth grade, I rode the bench. I rode the bench, but yet I learned from riding the bench 7th, 8th, ninth grade year and going to practice every day. That's where I learned basketball. That's where I learned the fundamentals of basketball. And then going to high school, my high school was a football school.
Oh,
Basketball was not the top sport at my high school. So if I'm walking down the hall and I might have scored 22 that night, football season is over and I'm walking with the quarterback on the football team. Ain't nobody talking to me. They talking to him.
They regret
And
that now.
then
sure.
your coaches didn't allow you to gloat. Like, I remember one night at Norfolk State, I had about 36 or 37. So after the game, I'm sort of laying around waiting for people to come and congratulate me. And my coach comes out the locker room and says, Oh, you had 37 tonight, huh? He said, what about them 5 free throws and, and them 2 layups you missed? And to me, being humble was like, you know what I've done to you on the basketball court. I
don't have to brag about it.
I don't have to talk trash. You know, and I had my way of silence often was my way of talking trash or not talking to you at all. So, and then, you know, when you're humble, you can sort of ease around and not draw a whole lot of attention. And I like being in the background. You know, I don't have to be out front all the time because I know the work that I've put in. And even being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Well, for those 30-something years, I'm always around Hall of Famers. Kareem, Dave Bing, Big Gold, Wes Unseld, Walt Frazier, Earl Monroe. But when Gervin, Julius Erving, but they showed me a certain amount of respect that they know I don't put in the work. And it's the powers that be just didn't, they were hesitant about putting me in the Hall of Fame. And probably if there were any ones that.
That's your Hall of Fame trophy behind you, right?
Yeah, yeah. If I always joke and say, I had to wait for some people to be deceased before I got into the Hall of Fame, and that's not a facetious statement, but
true.
you know, sometimes you have to.
That's
and I'm
actually
good with it.
that actually bleeds into my next question. Do you feel like your career was already validated without the Hall of Fame? Do you feel like this finally validated? And then did you see a renewed interest in your career after you made it?
Well, I don't think the Hall of Fame necessarily validated it.
I'm sorry, would you have been content if you never made the Hall of Fame? Let's go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would have still had a chip somewhere on his shoulder because, you know, you work for stuff like that. And when you see other folks going in the hall, you women hold it.
I was right with them. I was right there with them. I will say this. I will say this and tell me, this is my assessment, and you can tell me if you think I'm wrong. I would say this. Bobby Dandridge is not that A-level Michael Jordan, Kareem, Oscar type guy. However, he is a B-level guy that on any given series can outdo any A-level guy he's going against.
And that's true. And that's the way the league was. You know, we only had 13 or 14 teams, but everybody at that small forward spot had attributes of his own that made him a distinguished person. And you know, I can remember playing the Knicks and having to guard Bill Bradley. You know, folks might say, okay, Bill Bradley, but Bill Bradley would come off of those picks, and if he had a little keyhole, he could hit the shot. So doing that, you know, I look at Jack Marin. I'm down in, you know, I got Lou Hudson down in Atlanta, and Connie Hawkins. You know, folks like that, and you're playing against these folks all the time.
Out here in Phoenix, we love Connie Hawkins.
Oh yeah, the Hawk.
We love the Hawk. Did you have any teammates that you think that are criminally underrated as far as people's perception and all that? Like I was telling you, I'm a big Phil Chenier guy. I don't think he gets enough credit. But are there any guys that you think that are underrated that you played with?
Well, not really. I mean, everybody. I mean, it can only be but so many stars on a team.
Well, I mean, you look at like some of your teams. There's just so many all-stars that you guys had. You know, you had 4 guys
I look at
all-stars.
this guy, Elmore Smith, that you talked to today. Elmore Smith was a tremendous shot blocker and scorer.
Holds the record.
I mean, there was even a guy out of UCLA, Swin Nader.
Just awesome rebounder. Awesome rebounder.
I mean, I don't think Alex English gets all the credit that he deserves. I mean, one of the best shooters I ever played with was Brian Winters.
Oh, Brian Winters was awesome too.
I played in a game one night and Pistol had 50 and Brian had like 52. And so, I mean, in order to play in this league, I don't care if you go 1 through 12. You could take that 12th man and take him to the rec center and let him play against the best guys in the rec center. And when it was all over, they'd be saying, hey, man, who is that guy? Because once you getting to the league is not easy.
No.
You know, during my era, you know, maybe 1 or 2 guys may have been got on there because of favoritism, but you know, I mean, practice would be like games. And you know, I had a guy named Russell Lee that was out of Marshall University, the #1 draft choice of the Bucks, probably 74. You know, he was a 6'5" guard. And shoot, he used to challenge the Big O every day. You know, everybody said, is he crazy? He challenging the Big O today. You know. So all is good, fellas.
No. I want to ask you on the go for it.
So real quick. So my question is, in today's game, do you see any players where you can tell your game may have had an imprint on their style of play now?
I'm not as good as, but I think we sort of play at the same tempo and pace as Kawhi Leonard.
I've actually heard the Kawhi comparison to you. Actually, I've heard this because we're seeing where Kawhi can play for like the Spurs and look like the best player on that team, even up with Tim Duncan and other Hall of Famers. So I've heard that comparison actually.
Yeah. I think, and then I used to James Worthy, because he was the 3rd guy with the Lakers, and he scored a lot of points getting out on the break and mid-range jump shots and stuff.
You know what's crazy with the symmetry? You won the 78 finals. You won the 78 finals. You should have been the finals MVP. Exactly 10 years later, James Worthy is the 88 finals MVP.
Hey.
Do you I was going to ask you this. Since you have retired, you brought up, is there any players that you enjoyed watching their game? Like, who do you enjoy watching since you've retired?
You know who I enjoy that he's been retired is his last name was Miller out of Utah.
Andre Miller?
Who?
Andre Miller?
Yes.
Andre Miller.
I love to watch Andre.
One of the greatest post-up guards ever.
Yeah. I like Andre. I like the guy that plays down in Atlanta, one of the forwards down
Atlanta.
Atlanta currently?
Atlanta Hawks.
Right now?
Yeah, I'm saying like current players, or we're talking like, you know, throughout the years?
Yes.
DeJounte, maybe?
No, DeJounte Murray's the point and all that.
Who are the forwards in Atlanta?
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to skip anybody, make anybody upset. Let's see. We got for our forwards. There's Jalen Johnson. I don't know if you're liking him. Then we have AJ Griffin. We have DeAndre Hunter, Sadiq Bey.
I think the first one, Johnson, is that his
Jalen Johnson, yeah.
Yeah.
Out of Duke, second year.
Yeah.
No, it's his third year now. Yeah. Jalen Johnson's coming on too as well.
There's a kid out of that went to played with Dallas, and they sent him to Brooklyn.
Spencer? Oh wait,
about
no.
3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, and
I don't keep on.
And he's from this area too.
I don't know who they traded 3 years
I
ago
don't
and
know
all that.
I feel like he might be. I feel like that might be Dinwiddie.
Well, Dinwiddie's the guard though.
Oh, we're talking about Ford.
Yeah,
started
I don't know.
off with Dallas, defensive player.
Is he still on the Nets?
He could be. Who's on the Nets now?
Well, I mean, you got Cameron Johnson, you got Mikal Bridges, but they went there. You got Cam Johnson. Those are some of their bigger guys and all that. But yo, Neek, I want to bring this up to you because I don't know if you've seen the comment in the post. So they told me to drop the link so they could cook us all. Mike over here, he's saying, let's see, where's it at? Let's pull it up real quick. He said, terrible take. Kawhi was never better than Duncan when they were together. And you never said that he was better. You said that he outperformed Duncan in certain series, such as, maybe when he won Finals MVP and things like that.
Right.
Two.
Yeah,
Hold on. Two. I want to say this 1 sec. They were never better when they were together. So Duncan's last year was like 8 points a game, and obviously, he was in his 19th year, and Kawhi was leading the team in scoring, and he was their defense leader, and he was shooting a better percentage. So I don't know how you could say that he was never better than Duncan in their entire career when Kawhi was clearly better when they played together. When Kawhi was clearly better their last year together.
All I know is they made no plays for Kawhi. And then after seeing him perform in a series where there was no plays made for him, he became pretty much the face of the team. I mean, the team got handed to him. He became the up and coming player. Like, we watched this. This is not my opinion. We saw it happen.
Nope. Let's finish up with Bobby D. But I guess it don't matter really at the end of the day. But some of your guys, I'm more so I like the Kawhi comparison. I like that. I wanted to ask you this too. Did you think Kareem peaked with the Bucks or with the Lakers as a player?
I don't think there ever was a low point.
Just a peak career.
Honestly, I mean, he peaked when he left the league.
Well, obviously last year, 20 years, I think Kareem stayed definitely 1 year too long. I don't think 10 points, 4 rebounds, 20-year, 42-year-old Kareem was still as good, obviously. Don't expect him to be as good, though, either. To even be in the league at 42, still dropping double digits is still very impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this, Mr. Dandridge, we definitely have took up enough of your time.
You sure did.
I know. We appreciate it. We have so many questions. We have so many questions for you. We would love to have you definitely on the podcast again. I mean, we didn't even get to everything. If you like, I could definitely send you Elmore Smith's number so you could ask for the barbecue sauce. I got you. I'll tell him on the barbecue sauce too. But we really appreciate all that you did and let you know that you're definitely.
I enjoyed it, and I hope everything works well for y'all. Can I get a copy of this when y'all?
Yeah, I will. We'll definitely have it. We're probably going to break it up into 2 parts. So I will send you the link to part 1 tonight. If you said it depends how the interview goes. I hope it went well because I did have that request from you. If you can, I really do want that. And if not, I completely understand. I hope the interview went well enough for that.
Okay, you can send it to me.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Then.
I'll send you the link. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
So there you go.
Cool.
If you followed the series, if you followed the first the first couple parts, Bobby Dandridge agreed to sign my Bobby Dandridge jersey. So I'm really excited about that. I have been busy. I haven't sent it to him yet, which, obviously I have to send it cross country. So it'll probably take a little while to get it all done. But yeah, I'm going to send him my jersey. So I think that's really awesome that he'll sign my jersey. So yeah, we sat down with him about for 2 hours. What's your takeaway from it?
This is a really cool dude. Just the history of the fact that this man was able to win championships on a couple different teams. He was able to hold his own in the league where he's surrounded by these people that were going to go on to be still to this day considered among the greatest players of all time. To just hear from him the things that he experienced, the beginning of everything, how he was able to see the segregation turn into what it's turned into now. You feel me? Just all of that. My takeaway from it is this is a well-versed man through life and through the sport. So it was just good to just chop it up and pick his brain and everything like that and just hear some of the stories and experiences.
No, I completely agree. And what was I going to say? That's why he was one of my favorite players. Like I said, I think I put this up in other places too, but I think he is I think he's a coach's dream. He does whatever you'd like him to do. If you need him to rebound, he'll do that. You need him to defend, he'll do that. You need him to score, he'll do that. You need him to hit the game winner, he'll do that. You need him to pick up the best player, he'll do that. You need him to run the break and hustle, he'll do that. What's in it's like he said, I don't need the limelight. It's like what we said about the 78 finals MVP. Never asked. He just goes with the flow. If that's what it is, that's what it is. That's what you need. That's what you need. And that's why I like it. I think it's really cool too. Um, if you look at, like the 1970s, you had guys like, Wilt Chamberlain. And this is in the finals. Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Willis Reed, Walt Frazier, Earl Monroe, Dave DeBusschere, Jerry Lucas, Wes Unseld, who else was there? Havlicek, JoJo White, Dave Cowens, Kareem, Oscar, Rick Barry, Elvin Hayes, Paul Westphal, Charlie Scott, Dr. J. I'm trying to think. Bill Walton, Dennis Johnson. I don't know if I said Elvin Hayes already, but Elvin Hayes, if I didn't. Anyways, you got all these lists of the Hall of Famers, and the person that scored the most points in the finals in the 1970s was Bobby Dandridge. Fun fact for y'all, if y'all ever want to know who scored the most points in the 70s in the finals, it was Bobby Dandridge. So that's what I got to say. Anyways, though,
It's a
so yeah, that's the
mindset
end. What's up? It's a
thing.
mindset thing.
It's a mindset thing. Yeah, gotta respect the mindset.
I got you. So on that note, I think we're gonna end it early tonight. Unless you got any other thing you want to talk about, any other takes?
I'm over here distracted watching these games, but nah.
We'll have to get on playback. Oh, real quick, shout out to Nate Robinson. Unless he gets a kidney, he has posted that he's probably going to die. So hopefully he gets his kidney. You know that?
It wasn't so much that, it was kind of the way it came out. But yeah, go ahead, my bad.
No. I mean, I'm going to say, like, I want to say the gravity of the situation and all that. So I don't know if anybody's listening, but if anybody has a kidney for him, you know what I mean? Or they know anybody, but yeah, he's going through some problems right now with some kidneys, and likely won't make it, I guess would be the softer way to say it. But I wanted to make sure that they understood the gravity. Oh, hold on. We got Mike coming on to cook us real quick, I guess. About how Kawhi was never the best player, how 19-year Duncan was better. Hold on one second. All right, Mike, can you hear us?
Hold on. Let me get something. Yeah.
All right, go ahead,
Can you hear
Mike.
me?
What's your point? Yeah, we can hear you. What's your point?
All right, so I don't even want to argue, Duck, and I just want to see, who do y'all think will win the championship this year?
This year,
Celtics.
yeah, I'm leaning towards the Celtics.
So
Trying to think
I
if
I, I just
anybody
want to know, do y'all if they matched up with Denver, how do y'all think they would win?
how
I
do we
think they
think
would
they
win
will
with
win against?
I think they would win with their waves and waves of depth. Right now, Porzingis is the highest scoring points per possession out of the post ever. If it's got a big man on him, he's scoring at a stretch. If he's got a little man on him, he's posting up. The only problem that I've seen with the Celtics, and I've said this over and over again, is it going to be a tight game? If it's going to be a tight game, then I like damn near anybody over them. But the thing
Hold
is
on.
they're just
Oh my bad. You were talking about that.
yeah. So if it's going to be a tight game, I like pretty much anybody over them. They haven't really played good in tight games, but it's just they're so deep, so deep. They have one of the best players in the league in Tatum. They have another All-Star in Brown. They got another guy that's been an All-Star level talent in Porzingis. They got another guy that's been an All-Star in Drew Holiday. Derek White's one of the best players. You got one of the you got a really good vet show up probably like once a series and be an X factor in like a swing game in Al Horford. It's just really the depth. I mean, can I see a scenario where Denver beats them? Absolutely. It's not like it's like a wide margin. It's probably like 60-40 right now over Denver, maybe 55-45. I'm leaning towards them. But I think that, yeah, so it's those two. However, in the last month, it's really weird. Phoenix has been Denver's kryptonite. So if Denver and Phoenix match up, maybe Denver can maybe they can upset
Mm,
Denver. And then I don't like Phoenix against any other matchup really. I don't like them against the Thunder this year. I can see how the playoffs would change that, but the Thunder have absolutely owned them this year. I like them more against Minnesota. I don't like them against the Clippers. That 35-4 first quarter proved why I don't like them against the Clippers, even though they just blew them out. So yeah, it's all about matchups and who plays. But overall, the two best teams so far look like the Nuggets and Celtics. But I would give a little bit of an edge to the Celtics right now. What do you got, Nick?
so I want to talk about so like with the Celtics, what we've seen a lot, they like to live and die by the three ball.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that that can be a hindrance? And because like you said, if the game is close, I'm taking Jokic and Murray over Tatum and Brown. So
Yeah,
when they get caught up shooting the three, I think that can really hurt them. And they're not great at closing out games. We've seen Jason Tatum struggle to close out games at the end. You need a bucket. He always relies on a step back three. He doesn't really like to get to
hmm
the basket as much. So I
hmm
think if they don't play, in the mid, if he doesn't play in the mid range, get downhill a little more, I think that sets them up for failure.
definitely, especially if they're not getting the boards too, and it's going to be difficult for Boston to get them boards against like a Jokic, and I mean even Aaron Gordon in there, as athletic as he is, to be honest. So living and dying by the three, once they shot ain't dropping, it might be over for them unless they adjust. So at that point, yeah, Denver would definitely edge them if they living on that line. But
That's a good
as
point
far as
about
the
the
way,
boards. That's a good point about the boards too, because the Celtics don't have an elite rebounder. So right on that too.
but
And another thing, what we've seen in the past, they get into these games and they start turning the ball over a lot.
pressure.
I think Jalen Brown, he's slightly improved as a ball handler, but we have to see in the playoffs if he's still, in big games getting 5, 6 turnovers. Those things can be the difference in losing one game, and now you're down, 2-1 in the series and have to go on the road. Like that can be the difference.
And
Well,
also,
Mike, let
I
me ask
think
you this. Mike, let me ask you this though. Do you think the Celtics are going to blow them out more, or do you think it's going to be more tight games? And then we know who you think is going to win the series.
I think they can keep it close, but I just don't think they have the closers to take them over the top.
And that's a
But
fair
that's why
assessment. I can
I
see
think
that
the
too.
Heat. I think if Jimmy Butler and the Heat, raise their play, I think they can give the Celtics a run for their money.
they're a problem for anybody in the East. The East don't want to go up against them just based on that leadership, based on just the fact that that's a veteran captain, and he's not scared of nobody. Buckets don't care who they up against. That don't necessarily mean that that's going to translate to a win, but with this person being the one that's driving you, and then even Hero get hot. Like Hero will be like somebody on the Celtics playing for the Heat the way he plays. So Yeah, I could see them being a problem for anybody on the East. They've already proven to be a problem for Boston from time to time. So
Right. And then that's another, even in that series, the Heat in there and Coach Spoelstra, he's great on the defensive side. I think he can scheme, keep the Celtics at the long ball line,
mhm.
try to keep them out there shooting. And the Celtics don't mind taking a lot of threes, so I think he can kind of work against them against a team like the Heat.
Yeah, they got to stay hot. They
Because
got to stay hot the whole series.
the Heat, Spoelstra, he wants them to take those long threes rather than them getting downhill. And the Celtics, they already like to shoot a lot of threes, so that kind of works towards the Heat.
Yeah, anytime you got a team that's flinging the ball, unless they have somebody that can grab them boards, like I was saying earlier, any team that shoots a lot of three, if they don't have a good big man, a good forward, or a good rebounder, period, once they start missing them shots, that's when you're going to see them start getting blown out. That's when you're going to see them lose games. And then also, it depends on what kind of composure you can hold. How do you deal with the pressure? How do you deal with being down? How do you deal with being down in the series? Some players can't overcome that, and some can keep their cool. So it depends on which team we're talking about.
Um, but I think Boston winning is dependent more so on the two best players, Tatum and Brown. I think if they can find a way to close out series and close out close games, then I think they can beat Denver. But we just haven't seen that level from them yet.
I
No,
mean,
I
if
I'm
they
agree
do
going
with
that,
based
that.
I
off.
think
And
they beat anyone.
so no, I agree with that. And they haven't done it. So if you want to give the edge to the champs, I totally get that. It's just that what was the number? You remember what the number was, Neek? It's Boston set the record for most, whatever it is this year, 50-point blowouts, 45, 40. I forget what the number was, but
I don't think
some
they'll be able to
crazy
do that against the Nuggets.
well, here, I'll put it this way. What we see now is there's going to be one game at least where they are going to be extremely hot. If they're two good players and there's two deep,
Right,
one game the team is going to be extremely hot. One game they are going to
right.
blow the Nuggets out. Absolutely, I totally see that happening. I'll tell you what though, if you want a really good assessment, just to let you know, make sure you tune in Monday because we do have a former NBA coach who coached against all these guys and was in the league, and he's going to break down our playoff preview. And we're going to kind of lean on him too, see what he's
Oh,
thinking as well.
another
Definitely
thing I
want to hear
wanted
his
to ask:
assessment.
who do y'all think is better, Kawhi or Luka?
Luka. It
Like all
depends on
time?
what you're looking for.
Well,
Now,
right now.
like
Right now,
just this season, like how they were playing this
Luka.
season.
Luka.
Luca's just doing things that we haven't really seen before. In the numbers
Offensively,
wise, and
offensively.
right, and his availability is a little better than Kawhi's. I'm not worried
Kawhi's
about
been
Luca. Not
available this year. He might,
no
he
no
might,
no he, no
his
he
knee
has.
probably done now.
Well, right, but I mean, like he missed the Suns game the other night, and we saw it where what was it last year? They split the first two games. He was looking awesome in the first two games of the first round, and then he just didn't play again. So with Kawhi, I don't care at any round. Me personally, I'm always trepidatious about how long Kawhi is going to last, which is crazy because he's the best player or arguably the best player. I would give some pushback that he wasn't the best player in the 14 Spurs. He just maybe outperformed Duncan in that finals, and maybe not.
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made, but he definitely was the best player in 2019 on that finals team. So we've never seen Luka reach that level where he's the best player on a finals team. So, but this year, yeah, I'd have to go with Luka. Availability is the best
So hold
ability.
on. So Luka, he's a better playmaker and slightly scorer, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's
So
slightly.
like in terms of playmaking for his teammates, creating, I give you that. But Kawhi, he's a super efficient scorer. He got one of the best mid-range games.
Mm-hmm.
He's great in the post. He can shoot the three. He shoots a high percentage from the three. He's a way better off-ball player, and this is just offensively.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a way better off-ball player. I think he's improved as a passer over the years. I think he's a lot better passer than he used to be. So I think he can play makes better than what he used to. Not to Luka level, but at a decent level.
Well, a
But I
factor that
think
we also just Well, I was going to say too, we haven't even factored this in right there, but also Luka's a better rebounder.
Yeah, but yeah, he's a better rebounder. But Kawhi clears on the defensive end.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. If you said going into the playoffs, I want Kawhi over Luka, I totally get this. And to be honest with you, if I knew Kawhi would be healthy, since I've saw Kawhi do it, I've seen Kawhi hit, big pressure championship moments. He does play two ways and things like that. If we're talking a healthy Kawhi, I probably would rather have Kawhi right now in the playoffs. The only problem is I don't know if he's going to be available for the playoffs. I never do. That's the only problem I have.
So I'm just talking about them as a basketball player. So like take the playoffs out the table.
If
So
we
if you
if we're just talking about there's talent level, to be honest, I'm still taking Luka over Kawhi. Now, if we factor in the
just
accomplishments,
as a
then I
scoring
could
playmaker, right? Because
yes sir.
everything else
Yes
Kawhi's
sir.
pretty much better at.
Okay, so I don't necessarily I would have to look up the stats. I don't necessarily feel like Kawhi is more efficient of a scorer than Luka because of the stuff that we see Luka do. Um it's not like Luka be shooting up
I don't know
breaks
the
all the time.
efficiency numbers. I'm just going off of eye test.
Okay. Off the eye test for me, Luka's hot. You feel me? To be honest, Kawhi, he does have a shot. I'm not gonna take that away. But Kawhi, he's better at picking his moments to shoot, so I'll give him that as well. But if I'm looking for a player to really take over offensively, I'm not looking at Kawhi for that. I'm looking at Luka for that. Kawhi, I mean, at his best, he's probably gonna give us like 40. That's probably gonna be his max. He's gonna put out. Ain't no telling what Luka's gonna do if he gets red hot. Luka might realistically give you 70. I don't
But
see
couldn't you
Kawhi.
say that Kawhi has taken, even at his best, has taken more defensive responsibility as to where
Yeah, he's more
as
defensive.
to
Yeah,
what Luka does?
he's way
I
more.
think what
I feel like
I think what you're trying to get at, Mike, is I think you're trying to like argue your point that you think Kawhi is better than Luka or whatever, and that's fine. That's a legit, like, I don't think anyone's like going to say you're crazy if you want to have Kawhi over Luka.
Well, some
But when we
people do
talk,
think it's crazy. That's why I
well,
asked.
then that's dumb. That's all I'm saying. They're both great
Kawhi's dope.
players. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. They're both great players. If you value what Kawhi brings, where he's better than Luka over that, that's fine. But if you value what Luka brings over Kawhi, that's fine as well. When we talk about efficiency, and I just pulled up the numbers, basically Kawhi's 53% on 17 shots, and Luka's at 49% on 24 shots. So if you factor in volume versus efficiency, and Luka has a higher PER than Kawhi too right now, because Luka's at like 29 or something like that. If you want to go PER and all that, but it's like you said, if you think he's better defensively and that's what you value, there's no wrong answer with that. Nobody, I don't put it this way. If we're doing an all-time, or if we're doing a draft in the NBA, nobody's going to be like, oh my God, you got Luka and we got Kawhi. We're fucked. Nobody's going to care about that. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, we got Kawhi, let's take it to Luka. And if you get Luka, you're going to say, we got Luka, let's take it to Kawhi. So when you got great players, it's really about what you value. And right, and there's no wrong answer. As long as you're a great player, as long as you're a great player. If you're saying something like, here, I'll put it this way: if you're saying something like 19-year Tim Duncan, 8 points a game is better than 21 points a game Kawhi, that would be a flaw in your argument.
Yeah,
Because
maybe not those last couple of years, but up until they won the championship, I was taking Tim Duncan.
Exactly, and I would too, and I think. And I think Tim Duncan that year that Kawhi's got the finals, I think he was a better player that year. I think just the argument is what Kawhi did on the defensive end against LeBron, and that where he made him, even though he was efficiently scoring, he made him a non-factor, and all his points seemed, for lack of a better term, empty calories. They didn't affect the game. They didn't swing the game when it mattered. You know what I mean? When there was pivotal moments, it seemed that LeBron wasn't scoring then. So that's where that is. But yeah, there's no like wrong answer in this. It's just if that's what you value. Here, I mean, like me personally, I think Tim Duncan is greater all time than Kobe Bryant. But if you want to value Kobe Bryant over that, like if I was doing an all-time draft and I ended up with Kobe and I didn't have Duncan, I'm gonna be like, oh well, we're screwed now. We don't have Duncan. We got Kobe, and it's just like, but if you value Kobe over Duncan, I don't think if you got Duncan on your team, you're like, oh well, there's no hope. We only got Duncan. Do you get what I'm saying? If they're really great players, it's just really more so what you value. It also about a fit. There's a guy out there, you can look him up. He's one of the premier scouts in the league. At least he was years ago. His name's David Thorpe. He said this about players, and I forget the percentage, but it's basically this. He told me this once. Basically, it's like 10% of the players are going to be great no matter where you put them. 10% of the other players are going to be no good no matter where you put them. And the other 80% is completely about fit. So depending on your superstar, what your team has, what your team needs, then that depends on, which player might be better for you. I'll be honest with you. If you ever look at the Marbury trade and Steve Nash. Marbury was a way more talented player than Steve Nash. He was a way better athlete. He could jump higher. He had a better body.
He's way
faster.
more
He was
talented.
stronger.
Ooh, I don't know about that one.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna tell you what this is. Nash is what. So Nash is more skilled. Everything Nash did, a shot. You're not talented at shooting. You work at a shot. A shot is a skill. You have to practice and practice. Dribbling is a skill. Nobody is naturally an elite NBA dribbler. You have to practice that. So all of Nash's things was skill. He worked on skill. And you see that when he came into the league, because if he was so talented, he wouldn't be averaging 3 points as a 23-year-old rookie in his first year. But Marbury's 19 years old, and he's getting you 16 a game. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, he was more talented. Nash worked on skill. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I would rather have Nash now over Marbury because Nash was the better player. So that's what I'm saying. You have to factor in what the team needs, what it is, things like that. But we got to go, Mike. So we're trying to take off. But I appreciate your time. Make sure, tune in anytime. You know what I mean? If you got questions, we'll try to get you on.
All right.
Hey, Mike, thanks for coming on, for real.
Mm-hmm. All right, yo. All right. So, yeah, we out. Please check us. Like I said, we're off tomorrow. Please check us on Monday, where we have the NBA playoff preview with former NBA coach Dave Severns. He's also been nice enough to say he'll come on before each round. So he's going to break it down what he sees, for the first round, the second round, the conference finals, and the finals. So with that being said, we out real quick. We're going to go 0 to 200. And then make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. Put us as a stocking stuffer. I don't know what y'all want to do.
Till it's finished, please don't make me laugh with that half-ass gimmick. I'm about to get mine and it's about time. Call us Grindhouse, everybody in a house grind. I'm just doing me, I ain't trying to outshine. Trying to kill my vibe is how you get outline. I don't do it for the views and the likes, boy. I'm just giving you what I wrote last night, boy. I don't care if it isn't what you like, boy. My flow is fucking awesome, ain't it, white boy? Feeling
It is B. Dot. So check us for Monday.